Billionaire's son yells at Black Maid. She replies with one sentence that shocks everyone. What if the person you've always overlooked is actually the one who built everything you take for granted? Chad Bennett's hands trembled with frustration as he scoured the house, searching for his favorite jacket. It had been a long day, and he was already irritable. He stormed into the kitchen, where Marie, the family's longtime housekeeper, was quietly wiping down the counters. "Marie, where is it? I asked you to keep my things in order." Chad snapped, his voice sharp and accusing. His frustration spilled over, and for a moment, he didn't care about how his words might land. Marie stood still, unfazed, looking up at him with calm, steady eyes. "It's funny how you forget where your family's fortune really comes from," she said softly, her voice calm yet piercing. Chad froze. He was used to Marie's quiet presence, but this was different. Her words hung in the air, a weight that he couldn't ignore. Why did she say that? What was she implying? For the first time, he wondered, could there be more to Marie than he ever realized? Marie had been with the Bennett family for as long as Chad could remember. She had always been there, steadfast, dependable, almost invisible in the backdrop of his life. Growing up, Chad had never paid much attention to her. She was just part of the house, like the furniture, always doing her job without fuss. But as the years went by, her quiet presence became a constant, cleaning, cooking, managing the house with a grace Chad didn't fully appreciate. Marie's life, however, had never been as simple as it seemed. Before she came to work for the Bennetts, she was a young woman with dreams of her own. A business degree. A vision for a tech startup. She had the drive to make it big, but like so many others in her position, circumstances shifted. Marie had met Thomas Bennett, Chad's father, in the early days of his now immense tech company. Back then, he wasn't the billionaire he was today. He was a young entrepreneur with big ideas, and it was Marie who kept the chaos of his growing company organized. She was the one who mapped out his strategies, connected with investors, and handled the small details that were crucial to success. But when the money started pouring in, so did the expectations. Thomas, caught in the whirlwind of success, encouraged Marie to take a step back. "It's better for you here," he had said, suggesting she shift into a more traditional role. And so, she did. She became the housekeeper, managing everything behind the scenes, and her dreams of starting her own company quietly faded into the background. Chad had never known this side of Marie's story. He only knew her as the woman who always had everything in order, his meals prepared, his clothes cleaned, the house spotless. He had never questioned it. But after his outburst, something shifted. Later that night, as he sat in the study, the weight of his words still heavy on his mind, Chad's father, Thomas, approached him. "Chad, there's something you need to understand," his father began, his voice unusually serious. "You think of Marie as just a housekeeper. But she's far more than that." Chad looked up, puzzled. "What are you talking about?" Thomas sat down, his face solemn. "Marie was my partner, in more ways than one. Without her, there would be no Bennett Corporation. She helped me in the early days, organizing everything when I was too caught up in the business. She was the one who made sure everything ran smoothly. She's the reason I got my first investors." Chad stared at his father, trying to process the words. "Wait, you mean Marie was involved in the business? She helped build the company?" His voice wavered in disbelief. Thomas nodded, his eyes softening. "She's the reason we're here today. She could have had her own company, Chad. But she gave it all up to help me. And now, she's been nothing but loyal, working quietly in the background all these years. I didn't realize it until now, but I owe her more than I ever acknowledged. And so do you." Chad sat back, his mind racing. He had always seen Marie as just a fixture in their home. But now, everything was changing. He realized that Marie wasn't just an employee. She had sacrificed so much for his family's success, and yet, he had treated her with disdain. It hit him like a wave. He had been blind. But now, the question was, how could he make it right? And would she even let him? As he sat there, overwhelmed, he knew one thing for sure. he could never see Marie the same way again. The next morning, Chad found himself standing in front of the kitchen, unsure of how to approach Marie. His hands trembled as he reached for the doorframe. He had spent the entire night thinking about what his father had said. The weight of his ignorance had settled in, and it was a burden Chad couldn't easily shake off. Marie stood at the counter, humming softly as she prepared breakfast, just like she had every other morning. The soft sizzle of eggs in the pan seemed louder now, almost too loud, as Chad hesitated in the doorway. He had never felt so uncomfortable around her before. "Good morning, Chad," Marie said without turning around. Her voice was as calm and steady as always, but there was a quiet reserve in it now. She must have sensed the shift in the air, just as he had. Chad swallowed hard. He had been rehearsing what he wanted to say, but now the words felt hollow. Instead, he stepped into the kitchen, his heart racing. "Marie, I owe you an apology." She turned slowly, raising an eyebrow but not saying a word. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a faint trace of something he couldn't quite place. "An apology," she repeated. "For what?" Chad's mind scrambled, trying to find the right words. It wasn't easy. For years, he had ignored her presence, treated her with casual disregard, and assumed that she was just there to serve his family. Now, looking at her, he saw her for the first time, not just as the housekeeper, but as a woman who had given up so much, only to be overlooked. He opened his mouth, but the words felt stuck. "For everything," he finally said. His voice broke, and the shame he felt was nearly suffocating. "I've treated you badly, taken you for granted. I had no idea what you've done for this family. What you've given up. I'm sorry." For a long moment, Marie stood there, silent, her eyes searching his face as if trying to understand what had brought on this sudden change in him. Chad could see the years of quiet patience in her eyes, the years of doing her job without expectation of praise or recognition. She was a woman who had lived in the shadows, quietly doing the work that others took for granted. Finally, Marie spoke, her voice soft but firm. "You don't need to apologize, Chad. Not to me." His chest tightened. "But I do. I've been selfish. You've been here for so long, and I never really saw you." Marie paused, her gaze shifting to the kitchen window. She seemed to be thinking about something far away, her expression distant. "I've never needed an apology," she said, her voice low, almost to herself. "What I needed was for you to see the people around you. What I needed was for you to understand what true worth is. I don't need recognition. But you, your father, you've been given so much. It's time you see the people who helped build this, who helped you." Chad's heart thudded in his chest. She wasn't angry, but there was a quiet pain in her words. He hadn't realized how deeply he had hurt her, how his casual disregard had cut deeper than anything he could imagine. "I never realized," Chad began, his voice shaky. "I never realized how much you gave up for us." Marie gave a small, sad smile. "No one does, Chad. People like me. We don't expect people like you to notice. We just keep going. But that's not the point. The point is, you have the chance to change. To be better. And I'm telling you this now, because it's not just about me. It's about you. It's about the legacy you'll leave. Don't waste it." Chad stood still, her words sinking in. He had always been so wrapped up in his own life, in the success that had come so easily to him, that he had never stopped to think about the sacrifices others made. And now, here she was, telling him, no, reminding him, that it wasn't enough to just take and take. Life was about giving, about understanding the weight of what others carry. He nodded slowly, his eyes meeting hers. "I won't waste it, Marie. I promise." For the first time, Marie's smile reached her eyes. "I know you won't." But as the conversation came to an end, the tension in the room remained. Chad wasn't sure how he could undo the years of neglect, but he knew he had to start somewhere. And this moment, this quiet exchange between them, was just the beginning. As Marie turned back to the stove to finish making breakfast, Chad stood there for a moment, lost in thought. He didn't know exactly how to make things right, but he knew one thing for sure: he would never look at Marie the same way again. And as he took a step back, he couldn't help but wonder, what else had he missed? What other pieces of his life had he overlooked for so long? The door was open, and for the first time, Chad was willing to walk through it. Days passed, and Chad tried to make amends, but he felt the gap between his intentions and his actions grow wider. He wanted to fix the years of neglect, but the weight of his mistakes felt overwhelming. One evening, after a long day, Chad sat down in the study with his father. "Chad, there's something I never told you," Thomas said, his voice quieter than usual. "Marie wasn't just a housekeeper. She was there when the company started. She was the one who kept it all together. She gave up her own dreams to help mine." Chad blinked, shocked. "What do you mean?" Thomas continued, "She sacrificed her career for this family, and I never thanked her. And neither have you." Chad felt a knot in his chest. All this time, he had treated Marie like an invisible fixture in their lives, never realizing what she had given up. Later, Chad went to Marie, his guilt weighing heavily. "I've been blind," he confessed, his voice shaky. "I treated you badly, and I didn't even know what you'd done for this family. I'm so sorry." Marie looked at him, her gaze steady. "You don't need to apologize, Chad. Just see the people around you. That's enough." Chad nodded, realizing that making things right would take time, but it had to start now. Chad's realization hit him hard, but he wasn't sure how to undo the years of ignoring Marie's contributions. Days passed, and he started to involve himself more in the family business, treating others with the respect Marie had shown him. But one evening, he finally faced the truth head-on. Chad sat with his father, who had a quiet, almost regretful look in his eyes. "Chad, what you're learning is important. But remember this, it's not just about business or apologies. It's about honoring those who helped us along the way." Chad looked at his father, feeling a deep shift inside. "I understand now. I need to do more than apologize. I need to show I've changed." The next day, Chad approached Marie with a genuine smile. "Marie, I may not be able to make up for the years, but I promise I'll start doing better. You've always been part of this family, and I see that now." Marie's eyes softened, and for the first time, she nodded with a quiet smile. "That's all anyone can do, Chad. Start now." Chad's transformation wasn't immediate, but it was real. Every day, he worked to change his perspective. He became more involved in the family's philanthropic efforts, dedicating himself to causes that mattered, and ensuring that the people who had helped build the Bennett fortune, especially Marie, were recognized and respected. His efforts weren't grand gestures, but quiet, consistent actions that spoke volumes. Over the months, his relationship with Marie evolved into something stronger. They talked more, shared stories, and for the first time, Chad truly listened to her. He learned about her past, the sacrifices she made for his family, the dreams she put on hold, and the quiet wisdom she carried. One evening, after dinner, Chad and Marie sat at the kitchen table, a rare moment of quiet between them. The house was peaceful, and Chad couldn't help but smile as he watched Marie prepare the last of the dishes. "Marie," he said, his voice soft but sincere, "I finally see it. I see everything you've done for this family, for me. And I can't begin to tell you how sorry I am for not seeing it sooner." Marie paused, her hands stilling on the dish in front of her. She turned to look at him, her eyes warm and understanding. "Chad," she replied, "it's never too late to change. You've started down the right path. That's all anyone can do." The weight of her words settled in his chest, and he realized just how far he had come. He didn't need to make up for everything. He needed to continue learning, continue growing. And he would. For the first time in his life, Chad felt truly connected to the people around him, particularly to Marie, who had given so much without asking for anything in return. Chad took a deep breath, looking at Marie with gratitude. "I've learned that the greatest wealth isn't in money, but in the people who support you. You were there when I didn't even realize it. And for that, I'll always be grateful. Marie smiled, a quiet, knowing smile. That's all anyone really wants, Chad. To be seen. To be understood. As Chad sat there, reflecting on everything he had learned, he realized that the road ahead wouldn't always be easy, but he was finally ready to walk it with a heart full of respect and understanding. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever learned a life-changing lesson like Chad? Let us know. And don't forget to subscribe for more heartwarming stories.